This video is going to show you Solo Flawless Prophecy Dungeon during the Season of the Lost, the last couple of weeks on a Hunter. For those who just want to see that, then skip the timestamps. Other than that, I can show you the weapons I used and the setup. So when you do your first Solo Flawless, you'll be rewarded with the Prophetic Visionary. This is the emblem to show that. You'll also be rewarded with a exotic Sparrow called Of 10 Suns and a Cottontail exotic ghost, which is Solo Pacific loot. Weapon wise, we're using the exotic grain launcher Witherhoard, Cartesian Coordinate, a fusion rifle, and a heavy linear Rage Regret with clown cartridge for per weapon. Any heavy linear that you like, you use, it will work. Any standard fusion that you like, you use. You want to use no composure, you can do that. Whatever you want to use, you can use. There's no yes or no to it. If you've got Taken Spec, put Taken Spec in your weapons, but if you don't, put Boss Spec in both weapons. You don't need Major Spec. So either Boss Spec or Taken Spec, but it doesn't matter if you haven't got the Taken Spec. In terms of the build itself, we're using the Pathfinder Nightstalker with Vortex Grenade and Gambler's Dodge, pairing that with the exotic armor Graviton Forfeit, which gives you improved invisibility. This is an unlimited invisibility setup. In order to achieve this, it is very simple on Graviton and easy to understand. You just need 100% strength, pairing that with Graviton Forfeit, and that is it. That is all you need. The build, the perks, do everything else for you. You don't need the mobility, but if you want to run 100% mobility and 100% strength, you can do it. That's fine. It's up to you. Depends on your armor and stuff. If you want to run powerful friends and all that, you can. But I had to fit some mods in the setup, so you can't always run everything you want for stats. Just bear that in mind. Your primary stat is your strength. That's your primary stat. Get that, and everything else falls into place. So, the armor mods, we're using a high energy fire setup. So high energy fire taken charge, so we get charged via orbs of power. That gives us the 20% weapon damage buff. It's basic. Other mods, we have particle deconstruction on, which is available only this season. It'll be gone after this season, of course. Fusion rifle scavenger on the boots, arc damage, resistance, concussive dampener, radiant light to give us plus 20 strength for free. Just assist with getting strength, right? And then we have a fusion rifle loader, GL loader on the gauntlets, which helps out with DPS and things like that. And then ammo finders on the helmet. That's pretty basic. That's the armor mods. If you're somebody that struggles with the Solo Flawless Prophecy and you have done ever since it came out and you've been playing since then and you still haven't got it, this is the easiest time to do it right now on this class. It's probably easier than Titan, Warlock. Warlock's really good. Titan's really good in this as well, to be honest. Sort of all are, but this is the safest, easiest one to do on a Hunter, I believe, with the Graviton build. There are other ways of getting invisibility, and I know there's multiple builds, and I know there's people lean to one or the other, but trust me, this is the best invisibility build in terms of easiness. It's so easy with it, and you'll see that in the run. But that was the setup. So as we start the run, we'll be having the opening encounter to do. You can skip this with a sword. Very easy to do. If you want to do that, you can. I'm just doing it so that while I'm doing it, I can explain the basics of the mechanics of this dungeon if you don't know, because not everyone's a veteran player. Maybe people don't know about it or what have you, or maybe not done this dungeon. Maybe they're a new player. But this dungeon has a basic mechanic of dark and light. So as you can see, there's dark zones and light zones. When you stand in the dark zone and you kill a knight, when that knight dies, if you're standing in the dark zone, you will get dark modes. If you're standing in a light zone, you'll get light. Pretty simple. However, you can start doing damage to a knight in the dark, go to the light, and then you get light modes as you want. Witherhoard's perfect for that, or vice versa. This is what makes Witherhoard so good in this dungeon, is that same as Anarchy, really. Anarchy is the same idea, but with Witherhoard you can actually, run other sort of loadouts with it. So as I said, you can Witherhoard a knight wherever you want. Just make sure that when Witherhoard kills the knight, you're standing where you need to be. This is where the setup comes in with Graviton. You can just Witherhoard the knights, like so, and then go invis, and then just stand where you need to be. The smoke bomb will last 10 seconds or so, which is more than enough time to kill 2 knights in that time for Witherhoard to do its work. So you're letting Witherhoard do the work for you, and you're going invis, but you go invis after you've Witherhoarded the Knights, not before, obviously. Because if you go invis, then Witherhoard, if your timing's not spot on, then you're going to break invisibility. Breaking invisibility means when you shoot your gun. If you shoot your gun, like after a second of it being invis, like any time when you're invisibility, your invisibility will be broken. You will lose your recharge rate on your smoke bomb. Your smoke bomb charges the longer you are invis. So if you do a successful invisibility of 10 seconds, say, you'll get your smoke bomb back as long as you got the 100% strength. It will go up even faster the more adds are around you. Charges even faster if that happens. That's the first encounter done. Here's the first boss. For the first boss, the sword is very useful, so if you want to do that with passive guard, by all means do that. But I just wanted to do one loadout fits all encounters. That's why I didn't have it so that, you know, I would switch from a sword to Xenophage to Anarchy or to Witherhoard, whatever. Just one loadout, all weapons, one subclass, fits all encounters. So as the boss fight starts, we're going to focus the two knights. We're going to go for dark first, which is generally what I do, because the first knight does spawn in dark, so it makes sense to go for dark first. There'll be 2 dark, 2 light always on the first cycle. Now you can double dunk both these banks. There's 4 banks in total. If you want to double dunk, you can. If you know how to do that, sure, do it. But this video is aimed more at people who tips for those that probably can't do it. So I'm just going to single dunk each and not show that technique, not to complicate things. When you're going for your moats, you want to save. There's 2 bottom, 2 top. You want to save a top bank for the last one that you do, because the last one that you do, the boss's shield will be removed and you're ready for DPS. You need to be in a good position for DPS, lest you will lose damage. It might be a small thing to you, but it's a big thing for damage, so leave a top one last. So now we're just getting our dark moats. When you're getting your 5 moats, if you go invis on the 4th or the 3rd moat and then pick up the rest, you're invis for the dunk. I mean, you're not going to be aggroed or anything. So it's important that you do that, because if you can't invis once you get the big moat, you cannot throw a smoke bomb. Also, breaking invisibility before your smoke bomb is recharged is a bad thing. So make sure that you don't do that. Get used to the charge time of Graviton. So one smoke bomb lasts 10 seconds. If you don't break your invisibility, fire any weapons, then you'll get your smoke bomb back. You'll get it back sooner depending on how many enemies surround you. You can get it back even quicker. And at the very least, you can use your Gambler's Dodge to get your smoke bomb back, if you want to go a little bit quicker, or if you've just messed up with your smokes. I was close here, because I'm merely silent by accident. That's okay. For the most part, we're not clearing silence. The only time we clear silence for this particular boss is when we're on the final damage phase. Before the damage phase, should I say. So we've got one final dunk here, but there was still sounds alive, so I forgot to clear them. So we'll quickly clear them with Witherhoard, Fusion, doesn't really matter on this setup. Because you should be getting plenty of special with the ammo finders. Obviously we're not using a primary. Using a primary hinders your heavy ammo. If you can see all the heavy ammo on the floor, I'm getting an increased chance because I'm running double special. That's just the thing. So we'll get our final dunk. When we get our final dunk, the knights will despawn and then damage phase will start. Look for the boss, see where he is. Let him lure the boss over before you start. And we're going to start with Witherhoard, some Cartesian, and then just DPS from here. Just the general. The boss can't really hit you from up here, so it's a decent place to stand. Halfway through the DPS, goblins will spawn. That's when you can use your super, because the goblins will make the boss immune. The thing is though, supers penetrate immunity, so you can use a tether to do that extra damage. Then once that's done, do a bit more damage if the boss isn't immune. If the boss is immune, you need to take out the goblin, of course. But this is a safe 2 phase. You can solo 1 phase, you will be able to on this setup. If things align perfectly and you do perfect damage and you take out the goblins in time, you can. But for the most part, you're going to two-phase, which is fine, because this setup's so easy that it's not a problem to you. On the second phase, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because it's goblins, so you need to take out the goblins. Because they'll make all the knights immune, so before you can't really go further than this until you took out the goblins. The dunk positions will change for the moats, so you need to keep an eye on that. Obviously on the second phase, the damage, we don't need all the ammo, so we can spam ammo here, it's not a problem, because you know he's only got 25% HP left. Just getting some dark moats. And I just pick anywhere to dunk, of course, doesn't matter. You'll get the phase of sounds, which, as I said, you can, for the most part, ignore them until the end. Keep an eye on the boss, because obviously he can bash you off the map, which can ruin your soul floors. If you die here, obviously you're going to have to reset and restart it. But for the most part, the boss isn't that threatening. As long as you rotate enough, you're fine. But it's easy this, because as I say, you're just waiting for the knights to die while you sit in vis, to be honest. Like that one smoke bomb was enough to get my moats and get a dunk safely. Sometimes the sounds can get a bit out of control. If they do, just do a nade with a horde at the floor and invis, and it does take out quite a lot of them. Now we're just waiting on dark. There's some dark moats here. Just bear in mind the moats have a timer on the ground, so you are timed. They do eventually despawn. We're saving the top dunk. That's the golden rule with this. So we've got white to get. We don't need our tether for the final phase, so we can use it here. This just was a really bad tether, so I got stuck on this building. That's heart of the pack there. See, heart of the pack improves a lot of stats, and that's what saved us. Well, one shot there. We actually got the wrong mode, that's fine though. We did take out a lot of sounds though. It won't matter so much on the final phase, because the boss isn't really a problem until the goblins come out. We can save a lot of the sounds up, you don't need to clear them all. If there's tons though, I would clear some of them for sure, because they can do some damage to you when you stand up top. Just need to get a light mode. It's fine, we got it. We're also charged with light, so we get high energy fire going. That does stack with particle deconstruction, which is why I'm using it in this build, because particle deconstruction is a debuff, and high energy fire is a weapon damage buff. One buff, one debuff can stack. Then we'll just do damage from up here, which, as I said, is really easy to do. Just use all your weapons, and that's that done. All lads will despawn, and that's the first encounter done. This is the only time I swap a weapon, which, to be fair, it's just for the desert area, which isn't really an encounter anyways. There's not much anything difficult about that encounter, but I'm swapping to the shotgun just because it's a little bit easier to take the blights. With a horde, he's not good on blights, that's the only reason. So tips for the desert area, not much to say about it really. There's some invisible ultra minotaurs that are situated all around the map. The map's quite big. You just need to take 3 sets of blights each time. For each phase you'll get different types of enemies. So you'll get 3 hobgoblins each time. Sometimes you'll get goblins, captains, or centurions. But for the most part it doesn't really matter. You can step up on the blight and you don't take tick damage off the blight. You just need to stand right on top. As soon as you take the blight though, all the ads will collapse on you, so just make sure you've got a smoke for that. And we use our fusion and just our shotgun. The heavy linear is just going to be for the snipers, because the heavy linear does nothing. It doesn't really do much damage to the blights. But the shotgun obviously does, and the fusion is really good. When you take your third set of blight out, there'll be an orb in middle, and the orb tells you where to go. Just make sure you're looking at where that orb is, so it makes it simple for where the next set of blights are. We'll get our smoke immediately. Look for the orb. That's straight ahead. So you can quite clearly see that orb was straight ahead. Sometimes it bugs out and it doesn't look very clear where it is. But for the most part, if you look right at it, you'll see where the next set is, which is right here. Always take out the snipers first. I mean, you don't even really need to do that on this setup. You could just avoid all the snipers, but as I say, you can do that as well. We're not speed running this to that degree, so it doesn't matter. This is the Phalanx phase, so just gotta be careful here. Okay, that's 3 hobgoblins taken out. Now for the blight. If you do happen to fall off a blight, you can always retreat, go to another blight, and then, you know, go to a blight that's less aggroed, but for the most part, generally it's not too bad. I have slide shot on both of these weapons, so it's kind of nice. Smoke here. These are probably the worst with the Phalanx, he's just pushing you and stuff. Go for the next orb. That's just right in front. So we'll Sparrow all the way to the back. This is the last set of blights, and then we're on to the cube room. For the most part, I believe most people won't be struggling with this. Okay, it's pretty simple. There's nothing much to do with it. It's just a check, just to tick a box to say you've got past it. That's all it is. Take out the 3 snipers. On the blights. See, the reason why we're running double special heavy in this is so that it just makes it more consistent. Because Witherhoard's got that much ammo capacity in it. It's got so much ammo for the special weapon. The amount of damage it does to knights, it one-shots knights, it takes clear of waves and waves of adds just from one shot. The fusion rifle has a lot of good add clear in it, and it gives us max stacks of particle deconstruction for one shot from the fusion, because each bolt is classed as a stack. You can then swap to your heavy and then use your heavy for max damage. So that's why it just works out better to run double special heavy. You're actually handicapping yourself to the point where if you use a primary, you get way less heavy. It's a dumb mechanic. I don't know why it's like that. I'm not a fan of it. I do love using a good primary. You know, I miss the days of using Midnight Coop, Better Devils, Mananan. I miss the days of that, right? And infinite primary ammo is a good thing. So they've changed, done a lot of changes, but for certain things, it's still like Gambit. It's still better to just run double special heavy because you get more heavy. You know, they need to look at the ammo economy on heavy still, because it's still sort of inconsistent. When you run primary special heavy, you still don't get the heavy that you need at times. In a fire team, it's not so bad, but solo sometimes just depends what you're doing. So that's that encounter done. Now we're to the cube room. As I said, we're not going to change the loadout at all. It's going to be exactly the same. Make sure you do a rally banner, obviously, because ammo is very important for the cube encounter. You need pretty much all ammo, really, especially Witherhoard and heavy, to make sure you know you're doing the stuff. Because obviously, I'm going to primary weapon on. So it is really easy on this encounter. You actually don't need to clear any of the ads. You'll see me do that on the rooms coming up. On this first room, I cleared ads, but you don't really need to. You'll see in a minute on the next room how to actually do it easier than this. We need light, so we've established that. You need to establish first in the room what much you need, if any, right? Depending on what that room is. You need to do this obviously multiple times to proceed. That's how this encounter works. The snipers spawn in the knights, but when you kill a knight to get much, you spawn in a sniper. You also get acolytes, and acolytes spawn their eyes. So this encounter is all about surviving, but it's also about your positioning and things. But on this build, all that stuff's out the window. You just need to do your smokes. So what you can do is, as soon as you start a room, take out the 2 snipers, establish where the snipers are, and look at where your orb is. Don't spend too much time in middle. It is a little bit more risky, but you can spawn in the night straight away, essentially. There's no orb on this room. That means the orb's on the ceiling, so we need to flip the cube. So just do any, dark or light. It doesn't matter. I mean, if there's no light to dunk, then obviously it's going to be dark and vice versa, but any doesn't matter. It's your choice, because all you need to do is flip the room till you get to where the orb is. So this is what you can do on each room. So take out your 2 knights, establish the orb, dark or light, and then just Wither Horde, Invis, Wither Horde for all the knights. Don't do the dunk until you get your smoke bomb back. That's so key. Like, I was waiting, you saw that I was waiting. There's plenty of time because you've got so much time on the moats. When you get the timer for the moats, you've got plenty of time. So just make sure you're keeping a constant check on where that where your recharge rate is. So we took out the 2 knights. This is going to be a classic example. We go invis. We can do a Gambler's Dodge just to speed it up a little bit. Get another smoke. We need light, I believe, which I got at the last second. So I'm standing in the light, that's good. Then we'll get another smoke. We even use a bit of Cartesian to speed it up. We're still invis, by the way, and that's it. We've got our moats. We don't need to clear any ads. It's so easy. It's so easy, anyone could do it. As long as you just pay attention to the tips, then it's just a case of you're clearing the snipers, looking which dark or light. Then you just killing the knights while you're invis, letting Wither Horde do the work. So now we need light. Look at where the snipers are. They spawn in different locations. Like for example, the second sniper, I couldn't see him, so I jump over to where I can. We'll go invis. The both knights have spawned in by then. It's light that we need, so we can stand in the light. The more experience you are with these rooms, the easier it's going to be. If this is like your first time, you're not going to get so flawless. It's highly unlikely that you will, if this is your first time. So it's a case of, if you keep wiping on a certain encounter, keep redoing it until you've mastered it. If it's Echo Kell that's the problem, do the full run. If you get Echo Kell and you wipe, don't restart the run. Practice Echo Kell there and then until you've consolidated it. Then restart your run, and then you'll get your so flawless that way. Rather than one death, oh I restarted. You need to find out what the problem is in your run. And as I said, with Prophecy being probably the most, it seems to be the most difficult for people to get their head around. I still see people post on Reddit in-depth strategies on this, that, and this dungeon in particular being the hardest. And it's all a case of establish first what character you're playing. So if it's a Titan, you need to use the absolute best build for you. If it's a Warlock, same. And then a Hunter. For the Hunter, the easiest for people just to get this done, if they're not making a video on it, they're doing it for personal reasons. You want to use this build, Graviton. It's going to be the easiest to you. On a Warlock, it's going to be Devour. It is the absolute easiest way of doing it. On a Titan, I mean, it depends. You could use mid-tree hammers, but most people aren't skilled with that class. So I would say it's going to be Symphoceps, Sentinel. Because you can basically have Devour on that class. Because you can one-shot all the adds with your melee because of Symphoceps on top tree Sentinel. That is the easiest way of doing it. Not to mention you have above all weapons of light, meaning that it's great for damage as well. So establish which class you're doing first. Pick the absolute best loadout, then go from there. Don't try and handicap yourself and use something that's, you know, really unique, like Fawn and Necrotic Grips or something. If you're not experienced at this dungeon, then you shouldn't be really messing around with builds that are going to make the run harder. Okay, you want to use the absolute best loadout first, get a run done that way, and then if you want to solo it again, that's fine. Then start using other builds. But for people who can't get it the first completion done, they need to focus on the easiest loadout first. get the 2 snipers. Missed my crits, that's fine though. Now we're looking for dark. So we'll go to dark. This room's really good for dark. Get a smoke bomb here. This knight's in an awkward spot, but it doesn't matter on this loadout because I can just wither horde him, go into dark, wait for the mods to drop. It's as simple as that really. There's no need, as I said, to clear all the acolytes. The only time you would is if you want ammo. See, the acolytes are on an infinite spawn timer. They'll just keep spawning every so often. It could be 90 seconds, a minute, whatever it is. So you can use them to farm up ammo. This is the farm room. You'll know you when you get to the farm room when you get Centurions. So we'll focus one of them. That makes more sense rather than trying to DPS both. Scions do spawn as well, so just be cautious of them. But you can melt them down with your fusion. Because of particle deconstruction, these Centurions get melted quick. Once the Centurions die, Scions despawn. You've then done this encounter. This encounter drops the sidearm and the auto rifle. There are many reasons why to do this dungeon, which I can go into a couple of them right now while we do this bit. Because this bit now is just, we're just going to the boss. That's it. It's just jumping mazes, Sparrow. That's all you're doing now. There's a chance that you can still ruin your solar floors on this. Like for example in this room here, or not this room, this desert area. If you're really fast, you can get to the boss and the boss can stomp and one-shot you. It's highly unlikely you're going to do that. Just beware if you don't go close to the boss. But obviously the next part you can wipe. Like if your Sparrow explodes, it can kill you. Or if you fall. There's different routes that you can take on this Rainbow Road section. So with the Sparrow section, it's actually even easier on this class, and I'm going to show you in a minute why. Because obviously there's snipers that spawn up as you're sparrowing across. Now there's different routes you can take, right? There's different paths. You can also do like a mini jumping puzzle at certain locations. But here's the thing, you can do smoke bomb and then go on your Sparrow. As you can see, I'm invisible on the Sparrow. The Sparrow doesn't break my invis, only if you spawn your Sparrow up at the wrong time. But if you do it right away like that, your class is invis, so none of the snipers can hit you. I mean, they generally don't, but I'm just showing you a strat here. So just smoke each time. You'll have your smoke bomb back. Just a really cool trick. But the reasons why you want to do this prophecy for weapons and armor, well, for armor, obviously Grasp of Avarice, the Master Edition, is the best place now for armor because that gives you an extra slot, right? Whereas Prophecy Dungeon is going to be a little bit older now and it doesn't have that extra slot that you will get. However, the armor that you get, if you have a recovery armorer on your Ghost, like that recovery is your primary stat, you want that for all 3 classes. But if you go for that, some of the armor you can get from Prophecy is really high stat based, even from the chests. We're talking mid 60s, 68 sometimes. So it's a really good place for armor. But for weapons, it's really good as well because there's the hand cannon Judgement, which can roll with some really good perks for PvE. The sniper's really good. There's actually a good one for PvE roll wise on that. There's the shotgun, which is really good for PvP with elemental capacitor that drops from the final boss. And obviously there's the pulse rifle that drops from the final boss, which is also really good for PvP. So there's a lot of good things for PvP, there's some good things for PvE, and there's some high stat armor you can get from it. So Prophecy is still worth doing, but Master Grasp of Avarice is obviously still superior. So this location we're taking the mini jumping puzzle, just because it's just a little bit easier rather than doing the Sparrow bit over the other side. That's all. We'll take the jumping puzzle again. Just low chance of death. And it's just here to show you it, that's all. There is a secret chest up ahead in the last room. If you come this way though, you can't make it over there unless you've got a sword or you do your tether. I'd already got the chest from earlier on in the week, so I didn't need to go there. That's just if you come this way anyways. Now sometimes the elevator will bug out, the elevator that takes you to the final boss. If it does, just make sure you kill the ads, make sure they don't knock you off the edge or anything like that. But that's pretty much all there is to that bit. Now we'll be on with the final boss itself. So with the final boss for this dungeon, this is going to be the main sticking point for people. Most people, 90% of people I would say, who fail on this dungeon for the Soul Flawless is at this encounter right here. Because there's a lot going on. You've got ogres, knights, silence duplicating, they spawn so rapidly. So you need to build to combat all that, and this build does a good job of doing so. Now I'm going to swap to Fusion Rifle Reserves with arc damage resistance, just so I keep my Radiant Light plus 20 strength. But I want to go Fusion Rifle Reserves just so that it's going to help me out at the boss fight. I would recommend doing it. You just get a couple of extra shots. So we'll start up the fight. Obviously we'll rally. You want max ammo, it's important. You can spawn kill some of the sounds. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it, that's fine. It makes the room less chaotic, but for the most part you don't need to. So we're looking at what we need. We need dark. It's treble dark. Now you can get treble light, double dark, one light, treble light. It just depends. It's RNG. Some rooms are better than others. Like this first room is the first room every time. There's 4 rooms, I believe. I think I'm right in saying that. There's 4 rooms. So here's the thing. The first room is really easy as balanced dark and light. Right? There's a lot of dark, there's a lot of light. Some rooms are harder than others. There's one room called Hell Room that I don't get on the run. It's really bad because silence seem to spawn up faster. That's just something that they used to do. That they do. Now I had the lightning glitch there. The lightning glitch. So what I done there was I went in my menu while I was in Viz for maybe 3 or 4 seconds, and then went out and it fixed it. But it is starting to bug again, if you just noticed there. So it's just bugged again there when I jumped up. That's unfortunate. When we get our dunk, obviously you get an ogre. Try and spawn kill the ogre. Use your super on the first ogre. Because of the super changes, you'll get your super back anyways. You don't really need your super for damage. Since tether doesn't work with particle deconstruction, it's a waste of time tethering the boss, so you don't need your super. So use your super on the ogres, is what I'm trying to say. You don't need to be optimizing your super for damage. You'll see that when I get to it. Also, when you're doing the room, when you get the first ogre down, you clear up a side. Obviously, because there's 3 copies of Kell Echo in each corner. When that copy goes, that side of the room's free. Not that it matters on this class anyways, because you've got unlimited invisibility, but I'm just saying, if you do mess up with your smokes or something, then at the very least you can go to a safe side. But I'm letting the sounds duplicate because I'm not really interested in them, as I said. We're mainly just going to focus on the ogre itself and getting charge of light. We want to pick up an orb to get charge of light because we've got taking charge, high energy fire. As I said earlier, high energy fire is a 20% weapon damage buff. Particle deconstruction is a debuff for fusions. So I'm just trying to get charge of light, which I keep losing because I'm not being patient with Witherhoard. We just need the 1 stack. 1 stack's enough. We could have opted for, you know, ×5 build, but we don't really need it because I'm going to show you how it works. So this is going to be setting up for a solo 2 phase on the Hunter, and it's going to be comfortable. You're not going to need to like do miracle DPS. You just need to follow the steps. So people struggle on damage on Kell Echo because they leave things too late. You need to play ahead of the game. So how I do is this. I'll narrate it on this one and on the next one. First start off with 2 Witherhoard shots, 1 on the floor, 1 at the body. Do some partisan fusion shots. When he does his second teleport wave, the 2 Cylons, the 2 snipers spawn in. Kill those, spawn kill them. Do another Witherhoard shot to the boss, so you're doing tick damage while you're waiting on ads to spawn. Then you want to kill the next 2 snipers with your fusion. Pick up the Orb of Light. You will get Charge of Light. You then maintain a 20% damage buff. So the boss is also now getting tick damage from Witherhoard. I'm going to melee the next 2 snipers. The boss will then do his teleport wave, which you can avoid. Do another Witherhoard shot. Do some heavy if you want. At that point you can just retreat. You're going to sacrifice a plate of damage to get huge damage on the next 3 plates of damage. Right, so now we can do damage from here. We'll use the linear because he's far away. We'll do a Witherhoard on the floor, a nade if you like, and then some more Cartesian. You can rotate your weapons out here and there. It just depends on what you want to use. At this point it doesn't matter. Don't use your tether, you don't need it. If anything, you can use the tether on when you go to the next room. At this point you want to focus heavy. You probably haven't used that much heavy, so focus that more than anything. Don't waste all your ammo, because you need some ammo for the next round, but you can see the damage we're doing. Because we're still Charge of Light, because we double killed, we got a double kill on the 2 snipers, we maintained our Charge of Light at pretty much 90% uptime on that, because we were getting double kills when we needed. So that's why taking charge, the taking charge high energy fire is so good. Now that only applies to this season because taking charge is getting changed. Because, well, no, it's not getting changed. The masterwork orbs is getting changed. You're not going to be able to do that the same. Or you're going to need a mod to do that, sorry, on the helmet. Or whatever it is. In that case, you might just need to run it. You know, it might not be a problem just to run 1 ammo finder and then 1, whatever the new mod's called on the helmet. For the masterwork. But that's the first damage phase. You can see the damage we've done. And it's not crazy damage. Like, I didn't go all out. You know, I was safe when I needed to take the snipers. I was ahead of the game. Obviously, there's the dark entropy, whatever you call it. That can kill you. But if you do it exactly like that, the dark entropy will never kill you. Because the boss is slowly making his way to you. You're playing ahead of the boss, always. You let Witherhoard do the damage when you're not doing damage. And for the most part, that's how you would do it. So for the next room, you may get a different room to what I have. If you have, you're just going to have to play it by ear and obviously do the same basic strategy that we've been doing the whole dungeon. Focus the knights, not so much the sounds, right? But the key to it is you need to get that Witherhoard shot on that knight as soon as possible. Get the Witherhoard shot first, then go invis. If you're confident enough, you can go invis, then smoke, but you've got to be quick about it. Because there is a brief period of time where if you fire a weapon or throw a grenade while you're invisibility, as soon as you've done it, you're still invis. Because they made a change to that way back when, I can't even mind when. But if you're late on that, you will break your invisibility. You'll need to immediately dodge. If you don't have your dodge, you're going to be screwed. I'm going to use my tether here though. On the yoga, as I said, your tether is now for add control. It's not for DPS. Back in the day, the hunter solos would just be you'd use your tether to assist with damage, but on this, as I said, because it doesn't work with particle, you don't need it. You use it for ad clear instead. So as I said earlier, the rooms are different. Some have cater more to dark, some cater more to light. This room's better for light. Now I had dark, but it's not a problem on this setup because I can just Witherhoard that night, go and stand in the dark, right, behind a pillar. So I'm just standing, look, waiting and waiting. Do another smoke when we get our motes. That's very important because obviously when you pick up your max stacks, if you're not clearing sounds, they're going to wipe you. But I'm invis, they can't see me, so it's great. We're going to play a little bit more safe here because I couldn't spawn kill that ogre because obviously I haven't taken out the sounds. That's fine. We'll use a bit of heavy here. Because of double special heavy, as I said again, that's going to make sure that we do get plenty of heavy. So we're fine for that. I believe this was dark again, so we got unlucky in a sense, because light's obviously way easier. If this was on some other class, a Titan, this would have been bad RNG. I would have had to slay out a little bit better. This knight wasn't quite killed, that's fine though. We instantly melted him with the fusion. Now this is the last stack. We don't need to get super, so we don't need... The only thing that we need is a good amount of ammo. Like, the boss is 40%, so he's still got a bit of health, but not to the point where I'm going to need max ammo. So I'm good enough on that. I'll get a smoker. I don't even need to take out the ogre. I've got Charge of Light, notice. Make sure that you get the Charge of Light. It just makes it that much easier. It means for the first plate of damage, you're doing so much more damage because of that. Obviously, when the snipers come up, you're going to lose it because you're going to kill them with your weapons. I advise doing that, because don't be messing about meleeing the scions, especially if it's the two first snipers, sorry. You need to take them out pretty quick, because that boss is going to do his teleport. He's going to do his teleport attack to you. If you do it like this, everything's timed. Every time he does his teleport wave, I'm expecting it. Every time he moves to the next plate, it's all timed. So on plate 2, for example, let's call it plate 2, I'm not doing much damage, but I'm happy with that because I'm ahead of the game. I can spawn kill these snipers. I will double melee these just because it's pretty easy to do it on this one. We'll do a bit of damage here, but now we'll move to the next 2 scions. We're going to get a double kill because we'll lose Charge of Light, but we'll gain it back. And now we've just got 3 plates of damage of so much time. It just makes it that much easier doing it like this. There's multiple ways of doing it. I'm not saying this is the only way. I'm just saying for someone new to it, if you do it like this, you can't go wrong with it. We've got plenty of heavy to finish the fight. He's literally 10%, 5%. But that was the sole flaws on it for the hunt of this season. As I said, if you're struggling with this, then get it done before this season ends, because particle deconstruction will leave. But there might be a new mod that's even better, but who knows at that point. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.